Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025. My name is Edward Bevilacqua. This is Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you experience this one-time life. The one time we're going to be in this body. Our spirit will be occupying the body we have for just a short fraction of time. So my mind is going, thinking about my paper, my RJUS 204 paper, 224 paper, interreligious and interfaith, which is due in a couple weeks. Okay, so anyway, here we are. Once again, another day, another opportunity. It's good to be alive, as they say in Jerry Maguire. And we have an interesting show today. The topic is, are you a master or a student? What is your orientation to life? Also, this is day 4 in week 1 of our neuroscience approach to success. The TED Talk is Yuval Harari, Why Do Humans Control the Planet? So we got a really good one today. And let's start as we always do, we like to do, is to say, good morning, Miss Trinkle, wherever you are, and whatever you're doing. Interesting sound outside. Okay. There's a high-pitched noise out there. Okay, well, we shall see. Okay, let's go to the worksheet. Are you a master or a student? What is your orientation towards life? You know everything, or you know nothing? You know little. You're like Socrates. I don't know, I just ask questions. Advice from an 80-year-old, as we usually start with that. Be a good loser. Why? Why should you be a good loser? What's the simple reason to be a good loser? So that people will want to play with you again. That's it. If you're a bad loser, no one's going to want to play with you again, right? Think about it. When you're on the playground with the kids in elementary school learning to socialize, or you're at the park with your mother learning to socialize with other kids, be a good loser, just so they'll play with you again. If you're a bad loser, it's like, stay away from that guy. He's a bad loser, so if you win, you're not going to, he's going to do his best to make you feel bad about it, or he's going to complain, or blah, 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 blah. We all know the drill. Okay, so advice from an 80-year-old, be a good loser. People will play with you again. And let's see, Seth Godin, very interesting one today. It's a lot of interesting stuff. So this is Clark's Law, Part 2. Arthur C. Clarke came up with 3 laws. Some say 4. I like the 4th law, which is, it doesn't really matter. Fairness only occurs between equals. No, that's the Persians. We don't need to focus. We don't have time for that. Clarke's 2nd law was all sufficiently advanced technology will appear as magic. So if you're a conquistador and you have a blunderbuss or whatever they had for rifles, if you had one of those, a musket, whatever they had, and you shot somebody with it, the technology would be so far advanced that they wouldn't understand what just happened. There was an explosion by you, and all of a sudden, I can't move. I can't breathe. Blood is coming out of me. But Clark's second law, Clark's law part 2, all sufficiently advanced technology is now widespread. Batman used to have gadgets that gave him an advantage over his adversaries, right? His belt, his car. And Henry Ford had machines that allowed him to produce items far cheaper than the competitors. Right. Now, almost all technology magic is widely available and cheap. Technology has been the engine of culture and economic change, and it's no longer concentrated in the hands of few. Everyone has it. A fast car isn't rare. Good drivers are rare. So be the one that knows how to use the technology. A really big one, really big one. So how do you do that? You have to be a student. That's a good segue into the Daily Stoic. Ryan Holiday talking about, okay, where to go? Talking about, do you have a student mindset? So he's talking about the guitar player for Metallica, who was in another band, but they fired their guys, so they brought him over. So they brought him over because he was a good guitar player, but for 2 years, he took guitar lessons every day. Why? If he took the attitude, I'm already a great guitar player, I'm on Metallica. I must be good. They're good. They recruited me. I must be good. Party time. If he had that attitude, he wouldn't have gotten as good, and nor would they. But he had the attitude of a student. Always be learning. ABC. All A, always B, B, C, learning. Always be learning. He had that attitude. Who else had that attitude? Who was the greatest autodidactic of all time, self-learner of all time? Well, one of them certainly was Abraham Lincoln. Right, always saw himself as the student and the world as his classroom. Make the world your classroom. I don't like that guy. I need to get to know him better. Not, I already know he's a bad guy. I already know everything. I know what I need to know. We're just wasting time here. What's the point? Right? So yeah, have a student mindset. I'm not an expert, I'm a student. And can any of us really say we are the expert? You could say you're the expert at your life. We used to say that. But AI is showing us, computers are showing us that they know us better than we know ourselves. Why? Because they can put bait out there that will take all the time. All right, so we talked about student mindset, Daily Stoic, Seth's blog, Clark's Clark's second law, part 2. Clark's law, part 2. I think that's Clark's first law. Darren Hardy, another good one. Measuring what matters in business. So counting what counts. Mostly we count the things that don't really count instead of counting the things that do count. So figure out, what are the important things? Count the important things. We'll know more about that tomorrow. What do I want to talk about? Are you a master or a student? Right, that's a question for yourself. That's a question. Ask yourself, do I walk around like I'm a master or I'm a student? When I meet people, do I think I know? Do I go into it wanting to tell them what I know? Or do I go into it wanting to know what they know? Do I go in questioning, asking questions? Or do I go in telling? Okay, let's talk about Yuval Harari. Yuval Harari. Day 4, week 1. Neuroscience-oriented approach to success. Okay, so this you might want to write down or break it down, jot it down. Okay, number 1. Humans are the only animals on Earth that can work flexibly in large numbers. Best case for other animals, they can either work flexibly or in large numbers. Ants, bees, termites, things like that can work in large numbers. They can cooperate in large numbers, but not flexibly. They have one way of doing things. All beehives are the same. All functions of bees are the same. You have this role or this role or this role, whatever, however many roles there are. You're that. You don't get to change, and you can't change how the hive operates. It operates one way. So it flourishes or it collapses. Bees, ants, all non-social animals operate that way. They can work in large numbers, but not flexibly. All social mammals can work flexibly, but only in small numbers because they need to know you. We're never going to see all of the dogs, say, in Pahrump, uniting and demanding better treatment or whatever, right? We're not going to see it because they need to know the other dogs. Are you a good dog? Are you a bad dog? Etc. Yuval Harari talks about chimpanzees. Are you a good chimpanzee? Are you an evil chimpanzee? I have to know you before I can trade with you or do anything with you. I need to know what you're like. So that's number one. Only humans can work flexibly in large numbers. Number two, only humans invent stories. So these are things that are not real. We invent stories. And once we invent the stories, if we believe the stories we invent, then we can work, then we can cooperate. Morning Maticus Phonaticus. So if we can create stories. If we create a story that we believe, we will cooperate. Boom. Why is it that humans are the only creatures that can invent stories? So you'll never see two chimpanzees walk off hand in hand to see a sunset. They won't create art for art's sake. Now, they'll do things that we say is art, but for them, there's other purposes to it. Okay, why is that? The reason is because only humans see the world in two different perspectives. Objective reality, which all other animals see the world in objective reality, and subjective reality. That's a beautiful sunset. Human rights would be an example of subjective reality. So Yuval Harari will say you cut open a body, you'll see bones, you'll see neurons, you'll see organs, but you won't see human rights. Human rights is a story we have invented. Countries are a story we have invented. He'll say that religion is a story we have invented. Yuval Harari is an atheist. He got that one wrong. You could say all religions can't be right. All religions can be wrong, but they can't all be right. So that would be a better thing for him to say. But another one is laws. Okay, they're not an objective reality. They are stories that we invented. And if you believe the story, then it works. Money is another example of a story. So he talks about you can walk into a store with a green piece of paper that's totally worthless in the objective world, give it to a complete stranger, and get a banana. Try that with a chimpanzee. He'll take the dollar, he'll have the banana, he'll take the dollar, he'll sniff it, and maybe rub it on his arm, fingers, chew on it a little bit, and then he'll say, no, I'd rather have the banana than this dollar because this dollar has no value to me. And you say, okay, well, if you give me the banana, I'm really hungry. If you give me the banana, you'll go to chimpanzee heaven when you die. And the chimpanzee will say, wait a second. So you're saying if I give you this banana today, when I die, I will go someplace better. And you say, yeah. And he'll say, no way. What do you think I am, a human? Right. So Yuval Harari says, we are the only animals that can create stories because only we see the world from an objective reality and a subjective reality position. Now you could say, why are we the only animals that can do that? Yuval Harari doesn't answer that, but Susanna Herculano, who was 14 years ago, maybe still is, at Princeton, figured it out. And it comes down to we have more neurons in our brains, especially in the prefrontal cortex. And she asked the next question, well, why do we have more neurons? Because we have a primate brain. Our brain is very much like a gorilla brain, a chimpanzee brain, except we have more neurons and we have more in the prefrontal cortex. And so she said, well, why do we have that? She tried to figure out why. So she figured out we do and came up with a way to measure. And then she said, okay, well, why do we have more neurons than any other animal? And she came to the conclusion it's because we are the only animals that cook our food. Well, what does cooking food do? Well, when you cook food, it kind of pre-digests it so you can get more calories in less time. Now, if you're a gorilla, you spend hours and hours and hours finding food, eating food, raw food, and then digesting raw food. So most of your day, like almost your whole day, involves around finding food, eating food, digesting food, and then sleeping, starting over. Whereas, so an example would be take a bag of raw spinach, 1 gallon of raw spinach. How long will it take to eat 1 gallon of raw spinach? Most people cannot do it in one sitting for a lot of different reasons, but it's a lot of work. Take the bag of raw spinach, the 1 gallon of raw spinach, cook it, get it down to 1 cup. How long does it take to eat that? Not long at all, like a minute or two. Add a little oil, salt, pepper, seasoning, whatever. Add a little bit of that, and it's even faster. So what Susanna Herculano figured out was we can get more calories in less amount of time, which means what? We have more time to do other things. Like what? Solving problems. What was the biggest problem for our ancestors on the savannah or the Neanderthal? What was the biggest problem? Survival, right? So they could put more time into figuring out how to survive. More time could be spent learning to make clothing that keeps us warm or things that keep our feet so we're not constantly stepping on things that cut our feet open. And then about 75,000 years ago, we developed mirror neurons so we could learn from other people by watching other people because we were constantly trying to solve problems. So that's Susanna Herculano's take on it. But it starts with Yuval Harari saying, why do humans control the planet? Because only we can work cooperatively in large numbers. In the last 40 seconds, we're going to say, okay, what does that mean to you? Well, for each of us, that means when we go into any intercourse between people, we want to tell a story to get the other person to believe it so we can cooperate, because if they don't believe our story, hey, I'm a good person, I'm trustworthy, I'm funny, I'm this, I'm that. If they don't believe it, they will not cooperate with us. And life without that is short, harsh, and brutal. If you don't have people who will cooperate with you, who will believe you and trust you, believe in you and trust you, right? We call it having their guard up. Boom, no, I can't trust you. I don't want to believe you. Okay, so we're at the end. Maticus von Atticus, I will talk to you later. Please don't call before 8. And cut.